This week I've got my brother Paul, who's kind enough to let me join his MLS Fantasy League. He is an Atlanta native and soon to be Atlanta United FC supporter, and he's also a fervent Chris Wondolowski apologist.
I don't think there's anything to dislike about Chris Wondolowski.
He's a dreamboat.
He's a dreamboat. He's one of the best scorers in MLS history. Off the ball, he's always putting himself in position where the defense has to mark him, so he's opening up opportunities for other players on his team. He's really good in the gaps, and he's really good at timing his runs. So seeing a guy who kind of snuck under the radar in U.S. soccer development, he played as a youth and then he ended up playing at Chico State. It's cool to see a guy who is playing in his more or less hometown. He's just there to do what he does, and he does it well.
And how many Golden Boots has he won?
I think 2 Golden Boots and 1 MVP. I don't know his life story, but
Liar. Why don't you tell us what your jersey is all about? Because I have no idea.
It's a Rangers jersey for when Maurice Edu played. So
Oh, okay.
Maurice Edu's on the back.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking fantasy. This is my first year doing it.
When we talk about fantasy, we have to mention that our league is a little different. We use the basic MLS Fantasy Manager program everyone uses. You can join leagues, you can create a league with your friends, but everyone gets $120 million. And then you create the best lineup you think you can with that $120 million. But managers will pick the same players. So we did that in our league for the first year, which I won. But we wanted to sort of follow how other fantasy leagues are done. We set up sort of a league charter rules, and we manage everything through a shared Google Doc. We added 5 extra slots, so we draft 23 players. It just makes it a little more interesting. During the season, we have a system where you can add and drop players. And it gets a little more complicated. We have like a waiver system, and then when new players are signed, we have a system where you have to bid a player. Other players can bid, and the highest person gets it. So there's several other sort of rules in place to keep it fair. It really makes people stay on top of it.
Too on top of it, actually.
I was way too on top of it, but I have a reputation to maintain.
Me too now.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic because in the league, I guess the second season we did it, we had a guy who worked for FC Dallas. He was their media director, I think. There's a few guys who work for Adidas International Training Program. So there's guys who work in the soccer industry who know these young players. And in the beginning, I think that helped me a bit because they would be like, oh, this third round draft pick. When we took him to Madrid, some people took some gambles on some guys that were a little too young. And there's a lot of emotion in it too, because we have some guys who are Portland Timbers season ticket holders. And
I don't know. Even as a DC United season ticket holder, I'm still very aware, self-aware, and team-aware.
How much they suck at fantasy.
Yes.
I had Fabian Espindola the last couple years, and this year he was great. When he was on the field is the problem. He missed so much time with injury, but when he was actually out there playing, he generates a ton of chances. He scored goals and got assists, and he gets quite a few attacking bonus points. This shows how much our fantasy league impacts my thinking. When I went to the game with you against Los Angeles was when Steve Birnbaum got hurt. The first thing I thought was, oh, great. That's not good for DC. And the second thing I thought was, who's going to take his place and how serious is this injury? And so the next day, I dropped somebody and picked up Kofi Apare.
I put my grandmother's tea set in front of us and filled this teacup with bugs, first of all. Not on purpose, but on accident. We've got Dr. Pepper, whole milk. We've got Worcestershire sauce. We've got honey, pepper, whipped cream, and I think we have a little bit of chocolate syrup.
Why?
I have 5 trivia questions for you. For every one you get right, I'll take a sip. For everyone you get wrong, you have to take a sip. 2015 season, which team had an 11-game winless streak?
11-game winless streak. 11-game winless streak. So the worst team in MLS.
Maybe.
I would hope so. Chicago Fire?
No. NYCFC. Take a sip.
I have to swallow it?
Yes.
Oh.
What was the first soccer-specific MLS stadium, and when was its first game played?
Columbus in 1999.
Dang it. All right. Next question. Name this college where Nick DeLeon and Lamar Nagel played soccer together.
University of Nevada, Las Vegas. You didn't think I knew that, did you?
Damn it.
Yeah.
Great trivia, pal. Oh, man. 2015 season, name 3 of the top 5 scorers.
Kai Kamara, Sebastian Giovinco, Obafemi Martins,
Let's see if you can name one more. It's so easy.
Robbie Keane.
Cheers, pal.
Do I have to drink since I missed?
Yes.
He missed enough games. I thought, well, so did Obafemi.
Last question. Name Chris Wondolowski's wife's name.
They met
No, her
at
name.
Chico State, where she played volleyball. Miss Wondolowski. Mrs. Wondolowski. I don't know.
Me neither. Neither one of us are drinking. I'm not drinking to any of that. Pour one out to Chris Wondolowski.
He's fine. He's alive.
So now we're talking DC United. First, I have a
Okay.
bone to pick with you.
Why?
Last year, when I was a season ticket holder, I went to the very first season ticket holder event at Pinstripes in Georgetown. It was a marvelous time, and they were having a first sale or first look for the new jerseys they were coming out with. And I was standing in line texting you, and I said, Paul, who should I get on the back of my jersey? So my options were Steve Birnbaum, Chris Rolfe, and Sean Franklin, and you told me to go with Perry Kitchen. Paul, would you like to tell us where Perry Kitchen is going next season?
I have no idea. Not DC, it looks
Yes,
like.
it's not DC United. How long did you keep Chris Pontius on your
I draft
fantasy
Chris
roster?
Pontius every year. Every year in like one of the late rounds, I pick him up and say this is going to be it. Yeah, he doesn't stay on my team too much longer after that. But I will give him credit. When I did come up to visit and we went to that game against LA and he scored that game-winning goal.
In stoppage time.
Yeah. This time I won't come on an international break.
We planned that so horribly.
I looked at the schedule and thought, I'll go when LA's in town. I'll see Robbie Keane. I haven't seen him play before. That'll be fun. And then everyone was gone.
That's why we won.
Yeah, that's all right. Zardes was gone too. Omar Gonzalez was gone, I think.
Well, he's certainly gone now.
Yeah, that's true.
If you had to move to any city that has an MLS team, which would it be?
Based on the team or the city?
Both. Houston.
With my work, that's the most likely outcome, but I wouldn't be happy about it. Boston.
Really?
Yeah, I like the city a lot. I lived there for a bit. I like the team a lot. I think they're young and they have a lot of exciting players, and I really like Jay Heaps as a coach. I went there once for an MLS game when I lived there over 10 years ago. I woke up one morning, the radio just went off and it said, caller something, wins something. And I groggily dialed the number.
Give me free tickets.
Well, that's what it ended up being. It was like, all right, you won free tickets to see the New England Revolution take on DC United. So we went to the station and picked it up. A week later, drove down to Foxborough, which is way out there. I feel bad for Revolution fans who live in the city or north of the city because it's a pain in the ass to get.
That's one thing I appreciate about DC United is all the things that they've made sure to do on their list of requests for the new stadium is keep it in the district.
Yeah, almost everywhere they've built a soccer-specific stadium in the city, you're seeing better attendance and more involvement. Atlanta's going to be playing in the new stadium the Falcons are building, but it's right downtown, so we were happy with that. It's not a soccer-specific stadium, but it'll have a soccer-specific configuration, which will be good. When I went to that game in New England, though, or in Boston, so Clint Dempsey and Taylor Twellman were playing against Freddie Adu.
No way.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened. But that was like Freddie
Doesn't matter.
Adu's second or third year, and he was like the Sierra Mist sponsored guy or Pepsi sponsored sort of middle of Adu hype train.
Yeah, speaking of which, where is he now?
He plays for Tampa Bay Rowdies. There's actually a guy in Atlanta. He runs a Freddie Adu / Drew Carey Show recap podcast.
MLS fans are so weird.
I've listened to one because
You know it exists. That makes you weird in and
well,
of
I
itself.
listened to one because he talked about our supporters group, and he like.
Oh, okay.
And he seems like a nice guy. It's just I was curious about that mix. Like, how are you super into Freddie Adu at this point in his career, and then also join that with your love of the Drew Carey Show, and then
Not
you
the
recap
Drew
episodes?
Carey Show, not just Drew Carey.
No, like the show, like Cleveland Rocks. I don't really know anything other than that, which I guess was the late '90s.
What? That was Freddie Adu's heyday too. The 90s.
I'll root for any team if the ticket's free.